We're on and I am not recording. I'm going to stop the recording here, maybe. Sorry. Hello, y'all. How you today? This is ULC Norman Ministries in conjunction with
Master de Batorz presenting
that junk.
So anyway, today our topic is going to be one of my favorites, tabletop RPGs.
And what was it called in the 1980s? The Devil's Child.
Yep, that's true. That's true. So anyway.
Well, isn't that special?
When
Gee,
you...
I wonder what made you think that. Could it have been the devil?
And you know, the Dungeons and Dragons was the most well known, but I did a little bit of research on this, and I'll surprise you guys with some. Hey, you're gonna scare off all the guests.
Hey, it's from the top of my tattoo up.
All right, Adam. I guess you can take your shirt off too. Maybe who knows? Maybe we'll get our ratings up. Let's just all start strip dancing. Maybe people start throwing us dollars.
Nah, I know it's hot as hell.
Maybe they'll throw us dollars to put our clothes back on. Maybe we ought to try that.
Oh, you're gonna give me dollars to put my clothes back on? Let me
No,
go.
No. I'm saying maybe the guests. Maybe we get the guests.
No, that's what
dollars.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm going right along with it.
Yeah, I mean that maybe that'll work. If they throw us dollars, we might put our clothes back on.
So what's the traditional tabletop game?
Well, hold on. When did you start playing tabletop like RPGs? Okay.
My first tabletop RPG I played in 1990 with a group of other geeks. They were the nerdy geeks. I was more the video game geek. And I played a homebrew race. It was called a Mall, which was a half demon, half human.
And what game was it?
Dungeons and Dragons, second edition.
Second ed. Well, I'm going to give away my age, I guess, because my first RPG was Dungeons and Dragons, and it was actually the original paperback. And I played that in 1983.
Oh, you were playing the original during First Ed.
Yeah. And the case that we bought, it was $9 for both the player's handbook, the monster manual thing, and it was all paperback in a little box, a little cardboard box, and it had a blindfold screen that had all the different roles and stuff for the Dungeon Master.
Also known as the Dungeon Master screen.
Yep. So when was your first, and how was you exposed to Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh man, I would say I was like 6.
And what year were you born?
1996.
So you're talking...
I'm talking about 2002, yeah.
So 1983,
1990,
and 2002. So technically, sitting right here, we've got 3 flipping generations of tabletop RPGers.
Yeah. Thing is, my first exposure to role-playing games wasn't even a tabletop.
What was it?
Squaresoft's Final Fantasy I for the NES, also known as the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Which brings us back to here, man. We have lost sight of tabletop play. Like everything is in cyberspace now, on laptops, on computers, on the internet. Like there's a ton of RPGs that are out here.
Well, D&D uses something called virtual tabletops, like just to name a few: Roll20, Fantasy Grounds. I don't know the rest of them, but those are the 2 big ones that I know of.
I see the B20. Well, and you can play Dungeons and Dragons online too.
Yeah, which that's actually an MMO.
Yeah,
you're talking about Dungeons and Dragons Online. That's an MMO.
So, what about you, Adam? How do you prefer the RPGs or do you prefer the video games?
I prefer the video games.
You prefer? Oh, why?
because I'm not into the tabletop. I'm not into
The-
walking around something.
Thing is, I use a virtual character sheet on D&D Beyond through Twitch. And it uses the 5e book sets, but D&D is was the granddaddy of all RPGs.
It was the first that was issued out. Seriously, and it was like 1976, which I pulled up.
Actually, before that, the original one,
Well, when
before it was called Dungeons and Dragons, it was actually a war game called Chainmail.
Hold on, I got something to share here while we're on the Dungeons and Dragons thing. See if I can find which page it is. Let me see if that's it.
At least I thought it was 1970s. Or
This is Wikipedia doing that.
Yeah, that's all right. Wikipedia is okay. Do you see this right here? This is a little known one. And it's from TSR in 1974, or it was published in TSR. It's a tabletop role-playing game along with Dungeons and Dragons. And this
yeah.
was Empire of the Petal Throne.
Yep.
And can you see the? That's what the book
The
looks
cover
like.
art. Yeah.
Its publication was 1974, self-published by M.A.R. Baker, and then TSR box set it in 1975, and Guardians of the Order edition was issued out in 2005.
Well, according to this, D&D came out the year before I was born, 1974. It's a year older than me.
And then, let's see, I've got some other little known ones that I pulled up here.
But D&D was the first, not only the first RPG, it was also the first high fantasy RPG.
Right. Well, yes, it was more intricated than most. Here's one called Knights of the Round Table. This was King Arthur and so forth. You can still buy it. You notice right here, you can still buy it. And what it says here is it was a miniatures game. It was a very early RPG. It had rules for like doing joust and melee, falling in love. Only general guidance for running longer campaigns. Your player characters were either knights or enchanters, and each was represented by a single stat, which was prowess. So we didn't have all strength, intelligence, wisdom, and all that stuff.
Right. That was the tabletop, one of the 2 or 3 tabletop war games or miniatures games.
And this was released in 1976. I thought that would be pretty cool to.
There's another game that was we're looking here.
Hold on. Here's one for you. Here's one for you. It's Boot Hill. This was a Western role-playing game. And notice it was made by Gary.
Craig, all I'm seeing is the Empire of the Petal Throne still.
The what?
The Empire of the Petal Throne Wikipedia page. That's all I'm still seeing.
What happened?
No, your screen probably froze. The internet probably froze us up.
All right, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
So you didn't see the Knights of the Round Table?
No, I did not.
Oh boy. Sorry, folks, we're having some technical difficulties here. What is?
But most people, one of the biggest misconceptions about tabletop RPGs is that everybody thinks, or most people think, that tabletop RPGs are only high fantasy.
Well, no,
There's superhero RPGs, there's mutant RPGs, and I mean Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not.
didn't they have one for like Star Trek too?
Yes, they had a war game or miniatures game. They had a card game, and they had a pencil paper dice game.
Right,
Actually, they had two of them. They had two of them.
I played the pencil paper Star Trek game.
The question is, did you play the one that was about running a ship, or did you play the one about running a character?
Actually, it had the ship and everything.
Okay, then you did the one about the character and you ran your ship.
Yeah, we combined them. I didn't realize that was a divided game, but I didn't Dungeon Master that one. It was a friend of mine, Phoenix, that
Right.
introduced us to that.
Right. All he did was merge the two games, or actually had the full rule books.
Right. Yeah, I only played twice. Anyway, let me see here if I can do this again. Can you?
Star Wars has had several iterations of RPGs. Marvel has had 2, if not 3. I didn't like the last one. I didn't like the whole PIP system.
Anyway, here you go, Jay. I messed up. There's the
RPG.net, one of my big friends.
yeah. I mean, they've got an awful lot of good information. I don't know whether you can play the games on here or not, but
No, I think you can only. I think that gives you a reference point to either buy them or something to that effect.
what the one I wanted to show you, this was pretty cool because it was.
Wait before you stop doing what you're doing. Exit off. Green share.
It was this one called Boot Hill.
An Old West.
Yeah, it's an Old West RPG. That's what I was saying. And look who created it was Gary Gygax. Gygax.
Okay, this might sound like sacrilege to a lot of people, and I don't mean that that Gary was an omnipotent, omnipresent being, but hence the fact that he created all these RPGs, he's technically the god of role-playing games.
I agree. The mortal god. The mortal god of RPGs.
He was not.
He should be given the credit for it because that's what sparked all of it that we have today, including the video games.
But Gary Gygax, with Dungeons and Dragons, he cannot claim the rights alone. If it wasn't for Dave Arneson, Gary would have never created D&D. He would have just created Chainmail.
Right.
And we wouldn't have Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda.
So we have, basically you're saying we have two mortal gods of RPGs here.
Right.
Isn't it amazing what two geeks getting together can accomplish, man?
Oh, yeah. It went from 2 geeks to thousands of people.
Right.
And we're just talking, that's just authors and whatnot. That don't include us millions of players.
Here's one for you. I bet you haven't heard of this one. On Guard.
No, I've never heard of that one. Looks like a musketeer type thing.
It is. If you read the thing here, it was made in 1975, and by a guy by the name of David Ewalt, based on a book called Dice and Men. Commented that On Guard was one of the first early competing products in the role-playing game field to TSR's Dungeons and Dragons. So it was made to compete with Dungeons and Dragons.
Right, and they're...
But it was a mail. Look, it was mail order. They played by mail, too.
Right, I'm not trying to take away from it, but most people could not compete with TSR.
Well, you know, to this day, honest to God, I don't think that anything that people do is going to be a knockoff. There's no true original thoughts anymore. I mean, there's like original storylines. There's the creativity of putting it all together. But when it comes down to the actual like basic rules and guidance for all of it, man, it goes back to Dungeons and Dragons.
It all goes back to dice.
Yeah, to dice.
Generally speaking. generally speaking, it all goes back to dice. But there are a few RPGs that don't use the same amount of dice or don't use the same type of dice. Like Dungeons and Dragons uses a 7 dice set called a polyhedral dice set, which has.
I'm looking for something to share.
Hold on, Adam's got something here because he's more into the video games. You know, I'm more honest to God, Jay. I'm more into the video games now than I am.
No, this is an older game, and it's
Oh, he found something on the phone.
Oh,
There's a
God.
picture of me in there too.
You're not right.
Are you saying your prom theme was fire?
It's Bard's Tales.
Oh my God, they have reformatted that game. They have reformatted that game 20 to 30 times.
Really?
Yes, it's
Is
had.
that a tabletop or is that a video game? What is it?
It's a video game.
It's a video game.
The original Bard's Tale was not graphical at all.
Yeah, we got.
It was a full-on text-only game.
Oh,
Bard's
man,
Tale 2. We got Thief of Fate.
Yep, which was third installment.
Dongo Quest. Temple
Right.
of Aspar.
Wizards of the
Wizards
Crown.
of the Crown.
Exodus.
Exodus 3.
Ultima.
Ultima
Oh yeah,
5.
who don't know Ultima?
Huh?
Who don't know Ultima?
Right, Ultima 5.
There's a lot of them. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which we all know about that.
Where do you think we're going with this, man? You know, we were going to do this in segments, but it really didn't matter because the viewers are still viewing, you know?
Right.
So instead of having all the hassle, we're just going to run this through until we're out of time.
Right. Like, there's a storyteller game. Everybody's like, what's a storyteller game?
Well, now, speaking of that, wait a minute, let's go back here. You're correct, it's a storytelling game.
No,
But do
not
you
a
know where?
storytelling game. There are games called storyteller games.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is even the dungeon master is a storyteller.
Right.
The game master, or, you know, depending, your game master is someone that does multiple. But here we go. Your culture, my culture, the Celtics started RPGs and storytelling way back before recorded history because they told the stories of all the experience of the elders beforehand and they acted out plays to teach the children the culture.
Right, and they were plays. It's what inspired D&D.
Right.
And the biggest inspiration for Dungeons and Dragons, not everything else, just Dungeons and Dragons, was The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. As a matter of fact, TSR was sued by Tolkien Inc.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Because in the original installation of, if you get an original copy, you look in the player's handbook, the halfling was called a hobbit.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I forget what the demon was called. It was actually the Balrog in the original installment.
Right.
But some other there's a storytelling game where you don't roll dice. It's called White Wolf Inc. They have vampire, werewolf, wraith, hunter, and mage, all dealing with the supernatural.
Now I played Vampire the Masquerade, but that had dice.
You didn't use a whole lot of dice, though.
No, it's not like the.
system.
Yeah, it wasn't like the.
Right.
But like Dungeons and Dragons on there.
It was more of a storytelling system than a.
Then yeah.
But then you have Palladium games, which covers Rifts, Robotech, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Right. Yeah.
and you could cross. It was the first company that all their books crossed over. You could take a mutant, like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and put them in Robotech.
Right. Yeah, it was
They
introduced.
could fly a Veritech. Or you can put them in the Glitter Boy armor from
Riffs.
Rift.
Yep.
And I love when people are like, Glitter Boy, is that like a glam rock band thing? No. He wears a mechanized armor that can kick your rear.
Right. So,
From here to the other end of the universe.
do you still prefer the tabletop as opposed to video games, or is it?
Depends on the group.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with RPGs. The last few years, as we got older, we got responsibilities. It was hard to keep a group together to play. And
My whole thing with current D&D and many other games, the players aren't satisfied with just the books. I've had players demand to play homebrew because there's not enough options in the player's handbook. Race and slash subrace, class slash subclass, there's over 900 different options. That don't include.
What it comes down to is they just don't want to take the time to do it.
No, they want a power game.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
and that's what happened. Listen, that's what happened with my regiment of people, is they got tired of playing the regular stuff and they wanted power D&D. And I mean, I accommodated it a little bit.
I gotta get some drink.
But come back, Adam.
Yeah.
and the sad thing is, all these players are like, oh, they're coming out with Baldur's Gate 3. I get to play my modded character. No, you don't. They do not allow for homebrew.
Right.
Gotta love it. They're like, oh, I'm gonna play this and play my Beast Folk character. Beast Folk is a homebrew race. It doesn't exist in Forgotten Realms. And you have to buy all of them in order to get all those DLCs. They're gonna make you purchase each one separately.
And see, that's the other problem that I see with tabletop RPGs now, is the fact of the amount of money that has to be spent. Just
That's
saying.
been since second ed, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. It's so commercialized. So what I think we ought to do is I think we ought to make a homebrew following the guidelines and make it totally affordable for everybody.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody's like, you got to have money to play D&D. No, you don't. All you need is the basic rules and the SRD and a great imagination. All of which are free. Oh, no, you still have to get dice, but there's a way around that, too. You can start your D&D Beyond account. They got a built-in dice roller now.
And that's where, okay, so you're saying D&D Beyond is like where virtual and tabletop collide.
Right.
Would you play anything like that, or like D&D on the computer where it had the automated rolls and you didn't have to do all that stuff?
Well, yeah.
I would play it.
I use D&D Beyond, but I have most of the books.
Well, listen, this will be the last time we get a free advertisement to D&D and Beyond. I want some free stuff.
Right. To get the rest of it, you got to pay. If you want anything besides there might be one or two more books, but as far as I know, the basic rules on there and the dice roller are the only thing character generator are the only things that are free on there.
The character generator, the dice roll. Now, what about setting up the tabletop? How does that work? How do you set up a tabletop and all that on this D&D?
You can do it several ways. Like, I can set up a campaign using all my books, giving all my players access to my books.
Okay.
But their character has to be linked into my campaign for them to do that.
Kind of like we link. Does it work the same way? Like I send you an invite to come into the Zoom here, and then
Well-
it gets linked. Is it similar?
I'm going to be honest. I have one Discord group because we're all over the U.S.
Can you pull that up and share a screen on here?
What, Discord? Yeah.
No, the D&D Beyond.
Okay, give me a second. Let me go to D&D Beyond.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
We don't. Hey, listen, we don't rehearse this stuff, so it's kind of like I just threw it on you. Y'all
Oh, no,
ought to use
it's
that
fine.
by now.
It takes me about a minute to get into it.
As long
So-
as your laptop works.
Oh, it's working fine now. It just takes a bit to warm up.
It's old like you and I. Takes an hour or two to fire us up. Then when we get going, we're going good.
You're going to have to enable my sharing.
Go down there to the arrow.
To this here?
Yeah, no. You're not sharing. He is. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Adam do this. He's the tech guy.
Advanced options. Only the host. All participants. All participants.
Okay.
All right, try it again there.
Okay. Share.
All right.
Yay. This is D&D Beyond. What you have is your collections, which is characters. Here, I'll show you some of my characters. I have Usevi Bearpelt, which is a Wood Elf Moon Druid. Ugoback, which is a Minotaur Barbarian. And Amakula Trolls, which is a Tabaxi Monk.
I thought you said Akuna Matata trolls.
Oh,
Whoops, copyright.
no.
Disney.
Right. I'm a Kulata Trolls.
Okay, there you go. No, you said it right to begin with. It's just my ears.
Right. And then you have my campaign. Well, in my campaigns, like right here, the Dark Alliance game, you go into it, any of these players on their personal system can use any of my books for their characters. Now,
Does it cost anything for this D&D Beyond? I mean,
okay, the only time anything costs anything is if you decide you want to buy another book. Like, but they have,
sorry, guys.
okay, for instance, I bought the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and several other books. Well, every time I bought a new book, my combo pack became cheaper because it took money off of the combo pack. Like,
Okay, so you have some free stuff, but if you want to go beyond,
right, like Player's Handbook. Right here where my mouse is, Player's Handbook. I own this.
okay, but do you have access to that for free?
No, the only source that you have access to for free is Basic Rules, which is a stripped down, open, like all the free stuff D&D has available. Like, look right here, the racials. You have all those as playable races
In the free version.
in the free version. You don't have all the sub races, but you have all the base races.
And that's part of the free game, right?
Yeah. Now look at this. All 12 classes, but there's only 1 or 2 builds per class normally.
1 or 2 what?
Builds or archetypes. Okay, give me a second. But right here, the first 3 parts are just the free stuff from the Player's Handbook. Then the Dungeon Master's tools. That's the free stuff from the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Well, it's actually got a pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's quite a bit in just the free stuff alone, but there's a lot more. But
Okay,
this
so
stuff is completely free.
how do you set up a game?
Okay, basically, a DM. This one doesn't use a map. This is playing in theater of the mind. There's no map. Everybody's playing using their imagination only.
But is there a way to set up a 3D map or a 2D map or whatever?
Yeah, you can either get Fantasy Grounds or D&D Beyond or Roll20.net. I do not back either of them because they don't actually work. There's supposedly a way you can connect your D&D Beyond to one of those other things. But the thing is, Roll20.net has their own player's handbook, has their own like basic rule set, has their own monster manual, and all these the campaigns right here, like where it says adventures, those are almost all of those are on D&D Beyond or Roll20.net, but you have to purchase them separately from your D&D Beyond. I personally don't use a map. I like playing from imagination because I've been a DM. I know how hard it is to set up those virtual tabletops. It's atrocious. If you're not tech savvy, you don't even want to try.
But for someone that was tech savvy, they could go in there.
Oh yeah, I know a guy that never DM'd a day in his life. He signed up for Roll20, paid his subscription, and in the matter of 3 days knew all the rules from the basic rule set. And he was running his own campaign.
Well, that's awesome.
But me personally, I prefer just to have the books and playing like we used to in second ed. I didn't have a map. All I had was my books. And I actually have gotten some of them back since I got rid of them. I have the second-hand player's handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide. I have the complete book of elves, complete book of dwarves, complete book of gnomes and halflings, and the complete wizard.
Okay, so as a final note here, because we're running close to the wire here. As a final note, where do you think tabletop gaming is going? Do you think it's going to stay, or is it going to fade away with this technology?
No, actually, the technology is bringing new blood in. The problem is, new blood just doesn't know what's going on when the old blood gets in there, and it's like, these are the 5e rule set is a very rules-like system. I personally prefer second ed. Give me all those rules. Give me all those restrictions.
So is it safe to say, man, that role-playing Dungeons and Dragons is more than just a game? That it's more like a way of life?
Yeah, it's actually a lifestyle. In my opinion, it's a lifestyle. For me, it is. I'm pure. Me, simply put, other than my family, my friends, and my daily running, my life revolves around my tabletop and my video games.
I'd have to agree with you, Jay.
Is that how yours goes?
Yeah, my days evolve around the video games.
Well, while we're on that, in all honesty, I do a lot of stuff, on the ministry page. We do this show together. I'm busy throughout the day, but to the most part, man, I still live by the thing of have fun, use your imagination, even if it's help for the video game. Me personally, like I said, I'm to the point now, though, that I prefer video games over the tabletop. And that's probably because of so many years of doing that.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
So many years of doing it and the groups keep splitting up. So I prefer the single player games anymore, to where I can finish the damn thing. I can get my stuff. It doesn't use my imagination as much, but that's kind of where I am. But then again, I started playing in 1983.
And like I said, I started playing in 1990 when I was 15 and I played in high school.
And Adam started when he was
2002.
When he was like 5 or 6 years old. We had a lot of good. I'll have to tell you, we had a lot of good campaigns with them and his sister. and their two cousins that would come over, specifically came to my house on the weekend to play. And so they had fun with it, you know. It brought them into a new light. And Jeremy, it stayed a part of his life. He really took a hold of it and rolled with it. But then life caught him too. He got a kid and worked and couldn't keep the group together. You know, that's the problem with the tabletops is if you can't keep the group together.
Hence, one of my favorite memes about role-playing games. Guy gets 3 wishes from a genie. I wish for enough food for my life. Wish granted. I wish for enough video games in my life. Oh no, the 3 rules. The genie gives 3 rules. My bad. I got this joke wrong. Genie gives 3 rules. He gives the ones that Genie did in
Aladdin?
Aladdin. He can't bring people back from the dead. He can't make people fall in love. Forget what the other rule was. Oh, he can't grant more wishes. Well, the guy looks at him and goes, okay, I wish for regular adventures, regular game time every week. And that one. That's another new rule. I can't give you that one. It's impossible.
Right? It is impossible. And it got so frustrating. Look, man, it got so frustrating because, you know, life got even to our group of people. Life got to all of us. You went to Michigan. I went to Oklahoma. You know, the other people went off and did their thing. Even Phoenix, the one that introduced me to it, man, he got into working and, you know, life will take you away from it. But I think that honestly, we all strive to get back to it no matter what we do because it is fun. It is flipping fun.
The thing is, 2 of my players I can never play with again. They're gone.
Right.
Michael Blaine III or Mikey or Shrek, whatever you want to call him.
That's Shrek. I know Mikey's gone. And he was a good character. I love playing with him.
Yeah, especially when he played his Kinder or his Tinker Gnome.
Yeah. Oh, it was his Tinker Gnome, wasn't it? The
one that made inventions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his Tinker Gnome.
Well, you know that was Mikey. That was Mikey all the way around, like in person. Like
he played himself as an itty bitty character.
Right, and he's a big boy.
We're talking a guy that was 6 foot, weighed almost 400 pounds. Played a guy that was like 3 foot nothing and weighed.
Well, that's the other thing. You just hit something else that, you know, all of us, I think deep down we want to be something that we're not. You know, like I would love to be just a blind sheep going through this life with blinders on and not know what I know. But it don't happen. So what character would I play? A blind sheep with just blinds on.
A warlock.
Yeah,
a warlock, because you don't know who gave you your pack half the time.
Right.
Normally, a lot of players are like, "Oh, I know who gave me my pack." Not always. Make it a little more fun. Give yourself some mystery.
Right. But and if you're a guy in real life and you want to be a girl, you can play a girl character. Put yourself in imagination. I mean, if you're a girl and you want to be a guy, you can be, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Currently, what I normally play is a wood elf moondra. Oh, I can turn into really big monstrous creatures like. Right in the middle of battle, I turn into a brown bear, grizzly, that sort of thing. Or I play the guy that's like 7 foot tall, carries a really big hammer, and you won't like me when I'm angry concept.
Right.
Give me that barbarian. I'm gonna.
What about you, Adam? What was your favorite characters on RPG? Like,
oh my God, mine was the dwarven elf who came from the mountains of Mildor or something.
You were a mole?
A mole.
A mole.
A half dwarf, half elf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to play that. I made it happen.
Which means your character was completely bald and completely sterile.
Yep.
Guess what? The mollusk can now reproduce.
Well, wait a minute. We were talking about homebrew, right?
Uh-huh.
When the kids got older, we added a couple other attributes,
Mm-hmm.
such as breast size, butt size, penis size.
Yeah. Oh, I was doing that before I ever met you, Craig.
So keep this. Adam rolled for his penis size for this little mole.
It was bigger than me.
He had to wrap it inside his armor because it was so humongous.
Oh, that's okay. When I was doing that, it was like my third or fourth game. My DM had a 30-sided die. You rolled the 30-sided die, and that was your length in inches.
Jesus.
You know it sucks having a 30-incher.
Wow.
And at the time I was playing Elven Fighter Mages.
Well, Elven Fighter Mage is about 6 foot tall or more, so it was only half.
If it was a gray elf. If it was high elf, they're only about 5.5 feet tall.
Yeah. Well, if so, you got 3 foot of dick. Are we allowed to say dick?
Almost.
Yeah, a damn near 3 foot of dick on
I was a tripod.
Well, I'll tell you, the favorite thing that I always loved doing as a dungeon master, and I did it a lot to their group. I did a lot to their group because kids they get on my nerves, and I was really ready to be done playing, even though I was enjoying myself. But there was, I was like at my limit. It was time for them to get the hell out of my hair so I could get high, and because I didn't do that in front of them.
Right.
And so anyway,
I still turned into a pothead.
It was Jeremy. It was Jeremy's character that got all pissy. They came across NPCs of 25 dark pixies.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. Now listen, the pixies liked them. That's unusual.
Oh no, that's even worse.
They liked them.
That's even worse.
Oh, I know, and that's unusual. They normally don't like anybody. Well, Jeremy's character swatted one of them thinking it was a fly.
Oh no.
So they casted an enchant other spell. Gave each and every one of them penises for noses and balls for chins. With a permanency, with a contingent of permanency.
Oh no.
And they were at level 25.
Oh no. Oh, that's just wrong.
Level 150 Warlock is where we need to go. We never made it.
No, because finding a level 150 Warlock, no matter what edition, that's near impossible. There's like one in any realm.
Right.
That's why the 150th level character doesn't exist.
And he's not going to be around.
Right.
He or she is not going to be available. They're beyond the tower. They've done ascended somewhere.
Yep.
We died.
But I had to show you something I got in a PvP at one point. Player versus player. Meet Alfred the Owlbear.
Well, hello, Alfred.
He's a stuffed owlbear from fantasy RPGs. Everybody's like, that's intellectual property of D&D. No, it's not. I can make a D&D clone and sell it.
Right.
Legally. And it would be a 5e clone. But I do have some news that some people are going to hate, some people are going to love, and other people are just going to be like, what? Hasbro is talking about selling Dungeons and Dragons to the group of people that's acquiring a little bit of everything. Mickey Mouse meets D&D. Disney is talking about buying Dungeons and Dragons.
From
Not bad.
Wizards of the Coast?
Yes, which is
Oh.
owned by Hasbro.
Right, yeah, I know it's owned by Hasbro. So
But
they're
Hasbro is talking about selling to Disney. You got to give some to get some, but there is something in the contract. Disney can't change anything about D&D. They can evolve it, and the only way they can change it is if they do what they did for 5e. We need a new version of D&D. Here you go, players. Build us a game.
well,
And-
that'd be interesting.
That's how 5e was created.
I know, I remember that.
It was called D&D Next.
Well, unfortunately, we are at the end of this. I think our next discussion is going to carry on with
This.
gaming.
But it's a different subject.
I think we'll go on to other than just like TSR and D&D. I think our next thing will be whatever, just something different than what we did today.
Right.
Because there's all sorts of other gaming. Maybe we'll get into some
Like
of the
Monopoly and
other tabletop games that board
Right.
games and stuff. How's that sound, guys?
We just happened to pick out D&D or role-playing games this week. Next week, we'll probably cover board games.
Yeah, I think we ought to cover board games. So anyway, all right, guys, we appreciate you. Hopefully you stayed with us.
thanks for letting us present that down.
And you know, Dungeons and Dragons, man, top of the line.
I got to say one thing about board games. You know why they're called board games, right?
Because they bored you to death.
Thank you. Unless, of course, it's an interesting one like, oh, I don't know, Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, Risk.
But Craig will tell you, you don't want to play most Trivial Pursuits against me.
Well, listen, we'll cover this next week, and that's true. You have a tidbit of information about everything that everybody else don't know.
Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all
We
have a nice
appreciate
day.
y'all. Have a good day.
Have a wonderful day, y'all.
And like us, subscribe us. If you want to join our show and put your opinion out, email us. Have a good one.